And now, weighing in out of the blue corner, Shawne the Punk Thompson. 100%. And on the other mic, he weighs in from the red corner, Big Sean McCarthy.
All right, we are live. Yes, the Weighing In podcast, and we got all kinds of things to talk about. We've got the PFL coming up on Thursday. We've got a UFC in Atlanta on Saturday. But before that, we have our very first live interview with a man that we call Lights Out. We got Merriman to talk to. He's got his promotion that's coming up on Saturday. What's up, Josh? Are you doing okay? You're a little quiet.
I'm doing great, man. We got a guest, man. Shawne, how you been, man? How things been and what's going on? I know there's a lot of things you got to pump because you got stuff coming up this weekend, and I cannot wait to talk about it. You got some former UFC fighters, some former Bellator fighters. You got a lot of athletes that are on there that are looking to go ahead and get back into the big show, but you're doing a big show yourself. So I'm looking forward to it, man. Why? First off,
Why? When did you lose your mind?
Long fucking time ago, man. You know, so I started training with Randy Couture back in like 2006. So I grew up in Prince George's County, Maryland, and Washington, D.C. So my uncles were professional boxers. So I grew up boxing anyway. I just went the football route because, you know, wasn't at that time, it wasn't a whole lot of upside in boxing where I was, unless you're going straight to making the big money. And football was like my passion. But I was boxing and I was hitting the mitts one day in Jay Glazer's gym in LA, and he looked over like, man, I didn't know you can box. I said, yeah, you know, my uncle's boxing. He told me, I think you can, if you picked up MMA, I think it'll help you out in football. So I said, all right, shit, you know, let me know. He texted me the address. I showed up to the gym next day, and Jay Glazer's on my left and Randy Couture's on my right. And I'm looking at Jay like, listen, what kind of setup shit you got going on in here? Because Randy had just won. I think Randy just won the title at 41 or 42 around that time. He got it.
43 years of age.
43. And so he was still, you know, he was still active. And so they basically told me, they said, look, we're just going to pummel today. We're going to get some groundwork in, and it's going to help you out with your hands, coordination and balance, leverage, and all that stuff. And man, I left the gym. Randy was just tossing my ass around like a rag doll, and I just didn't know why or how.
Yeah.
Right? So I just got very interested in sport. So fast forward, I'm seeing Randy, and I was training with Chuck and Tito, Tyron Woodley when he's first coming on. So I was in the gym with those guys when they were first coming on, like in the mid 2000s. You know, back when they were competing.
Oh yeah.
And I just fell in love with the sport, man. And when I retired, I got heavy into TV. I went to NFL Network, Fox Sports, ESPN. I was at the launch of WWE Network. So I already knew the TV side of business and production, how those things go. And then I worked with Bellator for a little over 2 years, where I was, you know, working with them and all their meetings. I learned how to do a lot of the video deals. So I learned how to run a big organization, and that's what led me to launch Lights Out Extreme Fight.
Man. So then when you started looking for fighters to come onto your platform, I mean, what were some of the criteria that you were looking for? Like they had to have been in the UFC to main event, Bellator, wherever it was, PFL. What are you looking for, and who connects you with these fighters?
Well, you know, being on the sport, man, you get a chance to know all the gyms, all the coaches, all the managers. And so man, I found myself hanging around more guys in combat sports in general in the off seasons than I were doing with football players.
Yeah.
That's how much I was going to gyms. Like every big gym in the country, I would stop in. If I travel somewhere, I'll go jump in somebody's camp for a couple of days. Or if they had open mat, I'm going in sparring on Fridays, you know, wherever it was, whether it's Black House LA, whether it was down at McKee's gym and body shop, whether it was, you know, wherever, San Diego Alliance. I was around these guys all the time. And so for me, it was just a natural fit. Like I've been around the sport almost 18 years. So it was a natural fit. And I also, you know, work with Bellator, man, as great as they were and as big as they were, it was like, you know, I thought that they could have been a lot bigger. I thought the Bellator.
I think you're right.
I think that there were some things with Bellator that I was, you know, working directly with Viacom with that I thought for sure that they could have been a lot bigger than what they were. And I was making recommendations, and, you know, a lot of people just wasn't listening. So, you know, for when I launched Lights Out Extreme Fighting, I was like, shit, I'm just going to go do it myself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there was a lot of things behind closed doors that above our pay grade that a lot of people we had some input on, not just us, not Jon and I, but also a lot of executives too. And just nothing was getting done. It was going above them as well, trying to get anything done. So, but man, Jay's been around the sport for the longest time, Jay Glazer. And Jay's one of my good buddies, man. He's such a great guy. And man, we've been friends. I can't imagine. It's been like what 2002, 2003, sometime around there. So, and I met him through Chuck Liddell when we were doing our first run in the UFC back in like 2001, 2002, 2003, sometime around that time. So Jay's been an advocate for the sport. Obviously, one of the guys from the longest term with the with Fox and the NFL and everything like that. But man, I love that he keeps pushing it. He keeps pushing the sport, keeps helping build up people, helping them on the backside too for people with mental health issues. Jay's doing his thing, man. I'm glad that you were able to get connected with Jay. But yeah, let's talk about your promotion. It's coming up this weekend, right? 6/14.
Yeah, we in Long Beach. This Saturday, June 14th in Long Beach, California. We started at 4:30, doors open 4:30, but it's about a 4.5 hour show. I think we walking in with 13 fights, and we got some like state amateur champions. And like so for us, man. And it's I don't like bag on other promotion, whatever. But for one, we sell out. We sell a lot of tickets. We do well at the door. And we got a crazy amount of distribution. And that's to me because I have a TV background. I worked at all the bigger networks. And so for me, that was one of the first things I wanted to do out the gate. Out the gate, I wanted to get us seen. Right. And seeing what happened with Bellator, them bouncing around from Spike TV, bouncing around, to Paramount, bouncing around. Like they were just bouncing around Showtime. And so I said, okay, the landscape is changing right before our eyes because the days of just getting that one big TV deal, it's not there.
Yeah.
Right. And so then somebody else controls your content. And so me getting in it, I just saw it different. I also saw there was a lot of guys that was looking to either get to the UFC or get back to the UFC or getting, leaving PFL because they got cut, whatever money situations, whatever roster situation they had. So that's what I started doing, man. I started building up a lot of these local talent because we got a lot of guys, a lot of fighters coming up in SoCal that's trying to get on. And then we have like our co-main event, our main event is former Bellator and UFC guys. You get what I'm saying? So we have a great mix of guys. But now this is different. This time last year, a year and a half, 2 years ago, we wasn't getting the quality of guys we're getting now. Like we're getting a lot of these former guys saying, you know what, we know that if we go fight for lights out, that we're going to get seen. Right, that we know that we're going to go against Master. If we win big here, we have our opportunity to get back into the UFC. We have our opportunity to go, where we want to go, and that's the platform we provide. So this Saturday we're stacked up, man. Anybody in Long Beach or SoCal area, make sure you get there, man. We got a hell of a card.
Yeah, you guys got Curtis Molander versus Renato Valentin Alves. I mean, like great main event, great, and Curtis Molander's a stud, absolute studs. Fought all across all platforms. I mean, John, have you refed any of his fights?
Oh yeah, I used to ref him. He was a young fighter fighting out of the what was called the Orange County Fight Club. It was down in the fairground. Roy Engelbrecht was the promoter for those, and I saw him. I went to Rich Chow and I said, hey, you might want to think about signing this kid. He's very much like Jon Jones without quite the wrestling. And so he's got a ways to go. But I said, but if he does the right things, this kid could be really something special. And he's had a good career. He's had his ups and downs and everything. But man, when he's on, he's a tough son bitch.
So, like, if you take a look at the state of where MMA is right now, there's a lot of people critiquing where it's at right now. Just the ups and the downs. You've been in the sports industry and worked in the TV industries. You've been in the NFL. All of these things. Where do you see it at right now? What do you think the hiccup is? That right now everyone's kind of just. It seems like they plateaued on it. They're like, oh, I've seen enough fights. There's no real stars. Yeah. Why do you think that is?
Well, for one, I think that a lot of people get in this business try to be bigger than the UFC, which is automatically the biggest mistake.
That's a loss.
It's a loss right walking in the door. And I got a good relationship with Dana. I know a lot of guys over there. Plus the ESPN guys because I was over there at ESPN for a long time. So I know I have a lot of relationships. Our goal was never to be there. We want to send as much talent we can there, but also build verticals with tech. We got this chip going in the gloves with Shot Tracker that can measure speed, power punch, G-force. You can see where the guys get hit that in the cage, and there's going to be a betting aspect to it. We're running through getting it regulated by the state and FCC. And then we have a PTF Lab, which is a AI sponsorship tool that the sponsorship changes on the mat. You have to build other verticals because a lot of people just go, and I want to take a shot at GFL, but I have to because It,
You can take a lot because I call it the Gone Forever League.
yeah, and the thing is, man, I like Darren. I like personally, we met. I've come across him, and so I rarely take jabs at anybody in general. But for me personally, it's like when you do shit like that, you sour the sport, you sour the business, and people are looking for a strong number two behind the UFC. Hell, they're looking for a strong 2 and 3,
Yeah.
and so this space is so big and there's so much opportunity that that you can be very big in your own outright, but just have the mentality to come out and try to be bigger than the UFC is suicidal.
Yeah.
It's business wise, it's suicidal because you can't. If that's your mindset, you're gonna spin your way right out. And there's other leagues. I'm not. Again, I know it's gonna sound like I'm taking some shots, man. But again, when you spin yourself out of it, you're gonna keep having to now decrease what you were already doing and backtracking what you're doing, pushing fights back, canceling fights. Again, when you start doing that, you're sending a bad message on where MMA is. Right now, regional promotions are hurting.
Yeah.
The regional scene, for one, because it's hard to get sponsorship because a lot of sponsors aren't really high on combat sports right now. They just look the other way with the UFC because of the eyeballs and the platform that they have. They have so many people watching. They're willing to spend the money there. And so to get sponsored to spin a regional right now is hard because they're looking at it like, oh well, you're not the UFC. Well, we're the most distributed regional promotion in the country. We're on football, we're on Bally's, we'll be on UFC Fight Pass here coming up. BN Sports. And I got, 3 big announcements that probably is going to happen in the next like 60 days. It's about eyeballs, right? You want people to get out there, you want people to see it. And if you can understand distribution, you can get, guys like Curtis and those guys that have big main events of people that the sport knows. You can grow organically by being around.
Yeah.
Build a local scene, build a regional scene. You can't jump out the gate and have fucking Tony Ferguson and in a $10 million card or whatever. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You can't do that, man, because you're gonna spin yourself out. And what's your follow up? You get what I'm saying? Like, what's your like? You have a
You don't
big
have it
goal.
because you can't afford it.
You can't afford it.
Yeah.
You can't afford it, man. So that's the biggest problem right now is just that the sour taste that's in this industry miles because a lot of these guys just jump out there and just do the shit the wrong way. And we've been building regionally. Like if you came to one of our shows, we got a couple of thousand people. Our shows look crazy. The fans again. Well, can we expand in the next 6-12 months? Yeah, well, for sure. But you got to do it the right way by having consistent fights and not pushing fights back and canceling and things not happening.
People
You gotta,
forget.
you
Go
got to
ahead,
put
Joe.
butts. You got to put butts in the seats. It's one of those things that you'll see all these. Oh, we're going to have this. This contract with this. UFC Fight Pass or whatever. It doesn't matter. If you can put butts in the seats and people come to see your product, they will come back, and you can always bring those people back if you put on a good promotion, a good show. And you try to tell people, and they think that no, it's all in the TV dollars and everything. And that was part of the GFL's problem. They thought they were going to make a ton of money in pay-per-views and things like that. It's like you are absolutely out of your mind.
The pay-per-view model is dead. But one thing that I loved about Scott Coker, and people forget this because it ended up being such a big promotion, was Strikeforce. Strikeforce was only a North American promotion. It wasn't over in the UK.
It wasn't even a North American promotion. It was a San Jose promotion.
But it was mainly, it was all in the States. It was all in the States. But they had talked about, and they were able to be viewed in North America, though, up in Canada as well. But it basically was just that. And people forget how small it wasn't. A big promotion. They considered it to be competing with the UFC. It was not competing with the UFC. It just had world-class athletes. So what you're talking about is just build those young stars up from the ground up, or take the ones that came out of the UFC and that are in Bellator or PFL, whatever, that are trying to get back to a big show and build off of them. And that's something that Scott Coker did very well. He just talked about, we can coexist. I'm not trying to compete with the UFC, even though it always felt like he was, because he was always considered to be the second best promotion right there on the spot. But he always built up young talent. He made them look good. And I feel like that's exactly what you're trying to do.
Yeah, that's one of me working and being around Scott for those years. That's one of the things I did pick up, and it's important. And it's important for longevity. And it's important. It's important for sustainability, because if you start building your local, which we're past building that local. When we go and have fights in local markets, they know who we are. We're working on a regional scene where now we having guys come from different regions, and people know we are now. Again, in the next year, 2 years, 3 years, then we can really start going where we can go have a fight anywhere we want to, and people know who we are. But you have to lay a foundation that people know who you are. And again, remember, I came from the NFL. Well, who brands better? Who brands better than the NFL when it comes to storytelling, when it comes to branding who they are, right? And so and I still do work with the NFL. So again, I've learned a lot being around the fight business for a long time. Scott, I give him a lot of credit because Scott was the man when it came to what you just said.
Yeah.
And the other side is I have a different outlook on this sport because of where I come from.
Yeah.
And being around the NFL and watching them build NFL films and how big these hard knocks and all this stuff was. I have so much shit coming, man. Like, again, we want to do it the right way because we want to be around for a long time. We're not in the business of trying to jump out there and compete. And so the reason why we haven't exploded onto the scene and done anything crazy just yet, because I don't care. Like, we want to have a good foundation where now, shit, last fight we had Tyrell Fortune, right? We had, as our main event. I mean, shit, Tyrell probably a fight or so away from going to the UFC. He'll probably get that call at some point,
He
right?
will.
So every fight that we're having at this point, we're having at least one or two guys that can go and go to the next level to the UFC at any point. That's where you want to be at. If you're doing that, as Big John said, if you're doing it, you're selling tickets, and now your distribution is correct. Now you've built a sustainable model that's going to be around. You ain't got to worry about ever competing with the UFC because people know who you are, and that's the whole point of it.
Well, the other part is the UFC needs you.
Mhm.
That's the part that people don't get. It's they're all the UFC is going to try to squash them. No, the UFC needs regional shows that are going to give talent the ability to improve, show how good they are. And yeah, they get to move on, but they put on great fights for your promotion. The UFC they're 100% behind you doing well.
Yeah, and I think that people, especially when you don't understand the landscape of anything, right? Like, I went to University of Maryland. I love college, I love Maryland, love college football, but shit, I ain't trying to stay there. I was trying to go to the NFL,
Yeah.
right? And so,
Yeah, that's it.
I'm trying to get paid. I want to get on that. I want to get on that platform, and that's really what the UFC has become, right? The UFC has become the NFL of MMA.
No doubt.
And guess what? There's nothing wrong with being, where we at right now, the stage we're at, and be a strong, however you want to. This is the other thing about the rankings. I think the people and fans, the media, they rank. Like, if someone asks, like, what do you rank in the top 5 or top wherever? I'm like, dude, I don't say where we rank. I'm not in general like other promotions. I'm not calling us the co-leaders of the sport. Like, all that shit is just funny to me because I'm like, it's a joke. You can't call the people, the fans, the media, the people who watch what you're doing. They are the ones who tell you like what you are. You can't say, "Oh, we're the co-leaders." How?
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense, man. And so, like, I just have a different view when it comes to a lot of the things we're building.
That view right there is very similar to everyone else's view, though, by the way, is that you can't call yourself the co-leader. The fans
You call yourself whatever you want. Doesn't mean
Yeah.
it's true.
Yeah. You brought up something, though, about your sponsorships. You said you're working with some AI, how basically the AI on the canvas can change between fights.
You got to tell me, how
Yeah.
does that work?
Yeah, so our
Not
partner
really, but not only just that it can do that, but does that give that open availability to now sponsors can sponsor the fight they want?
Yep, and not just that. At a much look, sponsors not paying UFC prices. They're not. They got their own deal, with Monster and some of the big boys that they deal with. But you can come in and sponsor a fight and not on the mat the whole night. So the partnership that we made with PTF Lab, they're coming in now. It's an AI tool that somebody can see a different sponsor in Asia. Somebody can see a different sponsor in California, all the way
How
down
in the
to
hell does that work?
That's awesome.
So yeah, so it's a new thing. It's a digital, basically digital sponsorship where now it's not physically on the mat, but you can see it based on what you're watching on TV. Right. And you can see it all the way down to the zip code. So take, for example, like a water company that's just getting on shelves at Costco, but they're only in SoCal. So you want to now just have people in SoCal seeing that water sponsorship at a much cheaper cost than it would cost to pay for a whole night to have it on a physical mat.
Yeah.
And dude, listen, we want to make money too. We want other promotions, as you just said. We're gonna license this out. We want other promotions to be able to use this. We're not like keeping it for us. We want to prove that the concept works. There'll be other promotions, there'll be other leagues that's able to use it. And there's plenty of ways for us to make money. But yeah, you're right. Without a lot of these things happening, this regional scene is gonna die.
Yeah, without the regional scene, basically the UFC will have to just start having fighters build their record in their promotion, which that's the fans don't want that. We want to see the best fighters inside the UFC cage. We want them to build their records up in the regional scene and the smaller promotions on their way up. That's realistically what it comes down to. But I did want to ask you this because you played football in college, played in the NFL. This is something that's been on my mind for a long time. I kind of feel like the NIL deals are directly affecting the sport of MMA because wrestlers now are making $1 million, 800,000, and they're like, why would I go and make 10 and 10 or 15 and 15 or 30 and 30 when I could wrestle another year? I'll do a fifth year. I'll try and wrestle as many years as I can.
6 years.
And then I'll take that money that I made and then go wait until and find a six-figure job that I don't have to worry about going out there to get my face punched in. Do you think there's been a direct relationship between the direct relationship between fighters or wrestlers not coming into the sport because of the NIL deals?
Yeah, but those are going to be a handful of guys, right? Like that, you're going to be a handful of guys, and then two, when you have a handful of guys, there's still going to be fighters, like no matter what, right? Say they pick up that fifth year. Okay, what? How old is a guy that's wrestled in college for 5 years when he's done, right? Like what's
23, 24.
20.
right?
Yeah,
I mean, so you're still. I mean, good. If you just say you at top, you made $1 million in those 5 years or whatever it is. What the hell are you gonna do for the next 15 years of your life, or however long,
Yeah.
right? I mean, so you guys say, how the hell I get in this sport? I was like, yeah, I mean, first of all, I love it because I'm crazy as hell, and I've always loved it. But I think the second part of it is that there's a lot of upside and a lot of ways to scale if you do it the right way. And it can't be just through the fights. That would be my only knock on Scott and Bellator. That they always had great fights. They never built up anything outside the cage. And that part of it, I thought that they could. I mean, you owned by Viacom, you could have went crazy with content, reality shows. And believe it or not, man, there's a time that I think that Bellator was just as hot as the UFC at one point. I mean, on the fight side of it, but the UFC just learned how to brand. They learn how to storytell. They learn how to build content and verticals outside of the cage, and they just took off. And now no one's ever going to catch it.
Yeah, we can tell you from the Scott Coker side of it all, and having many of conversations of him with this, is that he was really trying to do a lot of outside the cage situations. Just Viacom wasn't willing to invest any money into it, and that was kind of the problem. And then also too, when we went to Showtime, the boxing had kind of taken that over. Anyways, but hey, talk to us more about your LXF and exactly like what do you have any other future shows coming up? You said you have 3 big announcements that you want to release here. Can you give us at least one? Can you?
I'll tell you that we're expanding heavily in like the Hispanic market, like a lot of the bigger streaming platforms and networks, because we have a huge Hispanic fan base.
Mm-hmm.
I think the combat sports in general brings that. The second part of it is that we're going to start signing guys from who are looking for those opportunities, leaving other leagues, other promotions. It's just going to happen. For one, we have consistent fights. We don't push them back. We don't cancel. The other side of it is that I was fortunate, man, to play in the NFL where I have a platform that I built, right, and I have a different set of eyeballs when we go and do things. I mean, the look up. I was hosting Good Morning Football, I think 3 weeks ago on NFL Network, and they were like highlighting the fight that we had before with Tyrell Fortune and all these guys on it. I'm like, nobody's ever did a shit like that, and like that's what the sport needs if you really want to expand the eyeballs. And I'm fortunate I'm able to do it, but I think there's so many different angles and so many different verticals that haven't even been tapped into yet that we're starting to do it. And we got a great team. And in fact, we got some of the team from Bellator just with us now.
Nice.
That's building on that side, man. So it's just like I said, I think that we have a real big opportunity, and The only reason why people aren't talking about us like GFL is because, yeah, we know that everybody's going to turn when Tony Ferguson's on your car. Or everybody's going to turn their head when you got these big names. But what's after that? What are you going to do? And we're not looking to do that. Now, we will get to the point we start signing some big name guys. The fights will get bigger. The venues will get bigger over the next year. But again, we're not in no rush. We're not trying to. We want to be around this thing for the next 20 or 30 years. That's what that's what we want to do.
This ain't a sprint, man. It's a marathon. It really is. You got to slow play this industry, otherwise you'll be out just as fast as the GFL was. So,
they were never in.
They were never in.
They were never in. Let's be honest. Man. I'm sorry. Let me ask you this, Shawne, because you did play in the NFL and you were unbelievable when you played with the Chargers. You were fantastic. And you had a mentality about you and you had a physicality about you. Have you brought that kind of over? Maybe not the physicality, but the mentality of being a winner and getting things done the right way from your football career into being a promoter. Being a promoter is not what people think. And one of the things I always tell everyone is you may not like promoters and stuff, but let me make this as clear as I can. And I'm talking to fighters and officials. You don't get paid if that guy doesn't put on fights. And he's the one holding the bag when things don't go right. He still has to pay out. If there's no butts in the seats, he loses money. No one cares that he loses money. Only he cares. What's it like for you being in that position now where you have all that pressure, but it's a game as far as you're winning and you're losing.
Yeah, no, you hit it on the head, man, to be honest. And there's a lot of shit that going behind the scenes that people have no idea about. And even on the regional side, running a regional promotion is fucking tough. I mean, it just is. And selling 1,500 or 2,000 seats on a consistent base every 4 or 5 weeks is tough, right? It's nothing easy about that. Making sure all the production and everything is in line, the start times are right, that dealing with the state commissions and make sure the team is in place. Something happens and fall out, it's all on you. And because of my attitude and because of the way I am, because of the way I've always been, I'm very, very detailed. The fact of you either can get it done or you can't. And this is why when I say playing, and I think to answer your question about the NFL, people talk a lot of shit about the NFL, and it is a business and the most cutthroat business out of all the sports by far. Like, you don't do what you got to do. They will draft somebody, some big beast from Florida State, and put him right beside you in lock and say, by the way, we just drafted this guy in the first, second round. You already know he's on your ass. So let you go out there, have some bad games, let you go out there, slack off in practice, let you go out there, miss a few tackles, drop a few balls, you're out. And there is no expiration on it. You got some fucking skinny ass person coming from upstairs and said, "Hey, let me get your playbook on that day." Right, you're done. And so so when it comes to the business side of things, I'm very similar, but also too, because I'm a former athlete, I sympathize with the fighters, and it's a weird combination that I have where I think understand how they think. I know what they put their bodies through, but also on the business side, I know how things have to be run. And I played on a team my entire life, and that's all we have. It's for me building a team and what I have now. There's no different than what I've been doing practically my whole life. It's just business now, and that's all it has been. But yeah, man, it's playing NFL is cutthroat. I've been traded, I've been waived, I've been brought back. 3-4 weeks later. They saved a couple $1 million and brought me like, yeah, and look at you and tell you, hey, have a nice day. Your flights, here's your flight number here. Like, yeah, it's but again, it's a beautiful business because when you want to get the most out of everybody, you will get it. And that's the whole point of it. You want everybody to perform. If you perform, you're getting taken care of. If you don't, you're out. And so I'm very, very upfront about everybody because I want people to know who and what they're dealing with. Like, you perform, you're doing your thing, you're getting taken care of. You're good. If you're not, you're out. And maybe that's the NFL mentality that kind of crosses over to what I'm doing now.
Love it.
My last question for you before we get you out of here is they just announced today that it's official is Terrence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez. How do you see that fight? What are your expectations on that fight?
I'm not doing boxing.
He comes from a boxing family, so I had to ask him.
Of course, man. So first of all, and I'll talk about the UFC. And I'll get into Dana because Dana's officially promoting that fight. I think this whole thing was just waiting for the Netflix deal to get done. I think that the Jon Jones thing is waiting for the Netflix deal to officially get done for the announcement. If you're going to give Netflix a fight for the UFC, you want Tom Aspinall and Jon Jones. And I don't know if that fight is off or on, if they're stripping Jon or he's nobody knows. But if I'm the UFC, that's the first fight that I'm getting in the Netflix contract. Yeah. That's what I would do. Now, as far as the fight, Turkey, man, he's like whatever he wants is gonna happen. Yeah, type of deal. What I do hope to not happen is when we talk about with NILs. Sometimes you can give people a lot more and you're not gonna get more out of them.
Yeah,
and I've seen it, right? I've seen it firsthand where if a guy's getting 10 or 15 million, he's gonna fight the same. You're not gonna get more out of him. Or if you're getting 10 or 20, you're not going to get more out of them. So
that's the complaint right now with Canelo is that you're getting 30 million, but we're not getting any more out of you. It's the same. And actually your last fight was
horrible.
And the opponent's not on your level, but you should have had a better performance and it wasn't there.
Yeah, you expect Canelo to chase him down and don't let the guy run, cut him off and be more aggressive. Terrence Crawford is one of my favorite fighters. I just think that
that's my man. That's what I want to hear.
Yeah, Terrence Crawford, he's one of my favorite fighters. It's just everything about him. He's so. I mean, all the times I've been around him, we hung out and just being around him. I forget the humbleness. It's like a level of I just want to fight. I want to be a boxer. And that's all he cares about. You can like being around him. You truly get that sense from him that it's nothing but boxing, about fighting for him. That he means business. I just don't know if he gonna come out on top of this one. I don't know if it's. What are they coming at? What's the weight that they?
I think it's 160.
168, I think.
But he's coming up. Crawford is coming up.
Yeah.
And Canelo's walking around at that weight.
Yeah.
No, he's coming down.
He's coming down a little bit.
Coming down.
Well, yeah, he's coming down for like I think 180 or 175 or 180, somewhere around there. So what I'm saying is he's a natural let's call it 175, 170, whatever it is.
Bud's definitely smaller.
But smaller. And so Canelo's one of Canelo's biggest powers is to start wearing you down and start laying power shots on you. So at some point in time, I just think the power shot is just gonna wear Crawford down over time. I don't think he's gonna go out and knock him out or anything like that, but I think just the power shots later on in the 7th and 8th round is what Crawford's not going to be able to take that. Just weight-wise, it's different when you're walking around at a certain weight and you got to come down. Your natural weight is 15, 20 pounds higher, and it's the one if you coming up, right, and you fighting up. So I think Crawford's going to look good. He's going to connect a lot. He's going to hit him with some shot, but it's just not going to be enough to have any real impact, any real effect.
That's my fear right there. Is to make Canelo, be in that position where he respects the power is going to be tough because, like you said, Crawford's coming up a long ways.
Once Canelo feels that Crawford really can't hurt him, whenever his best shot is, that's at that point I think it's going to get really, really ugly. When he finds out that he don't have enough to make a real impact on him, I think that's when it'll get ugly. And I think later on in around 6, 7, 8 rounds it'll start to show.
Yeah, the only way that I'm leaning actually towards Terrence Crawford, though, the reason why I'm leaning towards him is because when you take a look at how Canelo's been fighting as of lately, he has a tendency now just to walk forward, cover up, kind of shell up, let you hit your shots, and he'll try to land the harder, cleaner shots like you were saying. But he's not someone that's put in that pressure. He's just walking across the cage, trying to put the pressure instead of shuffling his feet in, cutting the cage, cutting the ring off, trying to land. Crawford can actually land his shots, circle to the other side of the cage and wait for him to get there. And Bud's always in fantastic shape. So this could end up being one of those fights where Crawford outpoints him just by landing the shots and never taking the big shots. If he can do that, he's got to be in the best shape of his life. He's got to be able to stay on his bike, but he's also got to be able to land some clean shots. I think his speed's going to be a factor because Canelo's not the fastest guy. He just shells up really well, but he's got to be able to land it. And when you go back to, I know it's a long time ago, you go back to the Mayweather fight. The speed was a factor. He didn't know what to do with it. And John and I talk about it. Speed kills, man. When you're fighting somebody with that kind of speed, it's hard to deal with. And Bud's got it.
Yeah.
So, hey, Shawne, man, go ahead and give yourself a pop in and a plug for your show this weekend on June 14th. Tell us where we can watch it. Tell us where it's at. Tell us everything, man, where we can get tickets.
Yeah, absolutely. This Saturday, June 14th, Long Beach, California. Get your tickets at lightsoutaccept.com. Also, make sure y'all download my network, Lights Out Sports TV. We got a bunch of free live sports there, available on every smart TV, iOS and Android. We got Swerve Combat on there, Fight TVs there. So we got a lot of live and free combat sports, and they got a bunch of like TNA wrestling is probably my other favorite one on there right now. And then we got a lot of motocross, motorsports, over 320 sports movies and documentaries, and we're hoping to land some other big fights this year as well from other promotions on Lights Out Sports TV.
My man, hey, next time you have another show coming up, hit us up, let us know. Would love to have you back on, announce your main events, your co-main events, and to help push your show, man. I appreciate you.
You got it, bro. Appreciate it.
Best of luck with your show there, Shawne.
All right, fellas. Thanks.
Have a good one.
Hey, everybody. He's awesome, man. He's awesome.
Dude, he was so good when he went to the Chargers. I think he was the 12th round pick. 12th pick overall. 12th pick overall. 12th pick overall in like either the 2005 or 2006 draft, one of the two. Yeah.
I've got a story about him that's just great. He was after Kane had won the title against Brock, and we were all up in the hotel room with Kane and him and a bunch of other people, and it got started with the takedown stuff. And it was like, I can take you down. I can take you down. It was awesome, man. Watching him get takedowns on some of Kane's buddies that he wrestled with in like Arizona State, and also just buddies that he wrestled with a long time ago. Kane's. It was so cool to see, just to watch Shawne. I just assumed it was a baseball player, or not baseball, but a football player. But the dude was obviously extremely athletic,
so good.
But man, like he could wrestle. He could wrestle. I was like, this guy knows what he's doing. Right. So, when he started talking about boxing, and then I started seeing him wrestle, I was like, man, you're good, man. You're good. You could be a fighter if you. He
talked about fighting for a long time. He was supposed to. Yeah. And things just never worked out.
Well, now he's a promoter of fights.
Yeah, smart man.
We'll take
smart
it.
Man.
We have Dana White coming out and saying that he's got Canelo and Crawford booked for September 13th on Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
Few like thoughts kind of been thrown around here. Dana's kind of lack of presence in the MMA world, right? Like especially around the Jon Jones stuff and all that, which we'll get into later. But the fight's on Netflix. What does that mean for the potential of UFC on there? And then Dana kind of been in this boxing space. Let's talk about him, comparing him now to other boxing promoters, and how does he fit into that space? What do you guys think?
I think there's no other place for this fight, to be honest. I mean, after you see what Jake Paul and Mike Tyson did at 101 million views or something like
108.
that? 108.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry, but I believe this one's going to outpump the coverage. It's going to be like probably closer to 180, somewhere in there.
125.
Yeah. You think 125?
Look, Tyson brings a lot of eyeballs.
Absolutely.
Even though, he was older, his name brings a lot. But I think, true boxing fans are always looking for that fight, and this is that fight. If you're going to take a look, I look at it the same as you. I actually think Bud Crawford's got a very good chance of beating him, but he's got to fight the right fight.
Yeah, he
can't sit there and try to knock out Canelo, because that ain't going to happen. But he can outpoint him.
Yeah.
So if he wins, it's going to be by a decision in outpointing him. But you take a look and you go, Canelo is a how many time champion. Bud Crawford is a how many time champion. And now they're meeting up at a weight that most people would say, Bud Crawford should do. It's kind of like the Sugar Ray Robinson, Sugar Ray Leonard type of move, moving up in those weight classes, and Roberto Duran, all those. This is what makes boxing great when they do these types of fights. I think it's a great move.
Yeah, I think this, like I said, I'm looking at it about 180 million. The reason why I say that's a lot. That's a big number.
So big.
That's a big number. But John, you just said it yourself. You said boxing fans, this is the fight that they're looking for. I agree with you, but I'm going to take it one step further. This is fight fans. Yeah. We never get the fight that we always wanted. This is the fight we wanted. This is the fight that every combat sports, whether you're an MMA guy, karate combat, a PFL, a Bellator, a fucking boxing fan, Taekwondo person, judoka, everybody wants to see Canelo versus Bud Crawford, Terrence Crawford. This is the fight. Like we got that fight too late when it was Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather.
Oh yeah,
Okay?
that was 6-7 years too late.
Yeah, and we're getting it now. We're getting this. That's the fight. This one's gonna make up for that, and I can't. It's worked out perfectly. If they put this on Netflix, which I believe it's gonna be on, right? I'm thinking 180. I think it's gonna be around 180 million.
All I'm telling you is, right now they're saying yes. Let's make Josh Thompson be correct.
Yeah,
they want that. Yeah.
Like I said, I really think it comes down to you, like you said, is we're finally getting the fight that everyone has been clamoring for, and these fighters are willing to step up and do it. I would have liked to have seen it at 160, though, to be honest. It's a little bit more fair. But and the other portion of it is that, Canelo's got a whole country behind him. Bud Crawford, I like him a lot, but
he's got Omaha behind him.
Yeah, Americans just don't support their fighters like other countries do. You've got Michael Bisping and Tom Aspinall got a whole country behind him. Conor McGregor had a whole country behind him. GSP, whole country behind him. Yair Rodriguez, those guys, Australia, you've got Izzy and you've got Volkanovski. They got countries behind them. With us, we tend to just bounce around, and whoever we like, and we pick them. But I'm looking at, I think Crawford's got the ability to do it. He's wanted this fight. He's driven, and those are the scariest guys. The guys his whole goal has been able to fight Canelo. I'll take it. I'll do it. He never once said, I won't take that fight. And on the other side, you have Canelo, who I've always looked up to, and I've always loved watching him fight. But literally, like, he finds any way to make sure that he's making the most amount of money, which I can appreciate. But he'll sidestep a fight if it's not the right money or the right. He learned a lot from Floyd Mayweather, in that situation. But this is a fantastic fight. Now to get back onto the Dana White thing, him stepping away from MMA, he's kind of been non-existent. Whatever, he's letting Hunter Campbell do his thing. And, he's putting his 2 cents in. Don't think that Dana's not involved. She's still involved. It's just like, not everything needs my automatic attention that guys like Mick Maynard and Hunter Campbell and Sean Shelby and anybody else that works for him can't handle. The company I don't want to say runs itself, because it doesn't, but, they've got enough people to make sure that it's running smoothly. Yeah. And then we can sit here and complain all we want about, the level of this and the level of that. There's a lot of reasons why the sport right now is not working. It's not just one thing, and it's not just Dana White. So I'm not trying to justify what's going on, but I think there's a lot of things that need to happen for the sport to be put on the right track. I do think that a new TV deal, John, will make a huge deal. That every time we've seen a new TV deal happen, there's been a big uptick in viewership. When it was Fox, it was huge, right? The Cain Velasquez and Dos Santos fight, and then went to ESPN, it was even bigger. And then they did the big deal because it was during COVID. And then now, if it goes to Netflix, it's like a whole nother deal, And then if they end up branching it off in different, networks, is Amazon going to get some of it? Is Netflix going to get some of it? ESPN going to get some of it? Now you're in 3 different locations. No one's going to be able to ever compete with you, and everyone will just be the feeder. So you got to figure out what you're going to do, in life. But I think the fact that Dana is stepping away a little bit, involving himself in the biggest boxing match pretty much in our lifetime. I can't think of another one. Give me another one that's bigger.
It's right up. It's right up with the biggest ones. It's up there with, Canelo versus Mayweather at this time. Pacquiao, especially. Pacquiao Mayweather, the big one.
That's the biggest one, right? I think, what did that get? 4.5 million?
4.5, 4.6.
Something like that, right? Yeah.
How do you measure this one, though, if it's on Netflix?
I mean, 180 million is huge.
They'll be able to measure how many eyeballs, how many people are tuned into it based upon, you got to, when you go on your TV, you got to first go to, Netflix, and then you select it. Boom, it comes up how many times that's happened for them. So it's right there for them.
We're going to find out. I mean, like, you can't measure that in comparison to past pay-per-views.
No, because it's not a pay-per-view. It'll be different.
No. I mean, who knows? Maybe because Netflix, I hope they don't change anything. I mean, obviously they're going to up their price a little bit. It'll probably be Netflix will be $20 or whatever or $28 or $40. They'll probably up it, but knowing that they have a deal in the works with UFC, WWE, and now with boxing, probably it's going to be huge. Going to be huge. There was something else to that question there, Dave, that you had on the Dana White stuff.
I guess Netflix. Does this set the stage for potential UFC to Netflix?
I mean, you've already got the WWE's on there, correct?
Yep, WWE's on there.
Okay, and then
I think the UFC to Netflix is already kind of like in the works, as far as it's just not going to be. The UFC isn't going to be just like they are on ESPN with Netflix. It's going to be specific shows. That's kind of like what Shawne Merriman was talking about. Look, I think the first UFC show on Netflix is going to be Jon Jones versus Tom Aspinall. That's the kind of thing that Netflix is looking for. They want those big superstar type fights.
Yeah, if Connor comes back,
yes.
You have Connor and somebody.
Yep.
You know, something along. If Habib ever came back, let me get Habib on.
It would be on Netflix.
Let's do it. I'm not saying. By the way, I'm not hinting that he's coming back, guys. I'm just throwing out names that they would be like, "Hey, we want that to happen. Let's throw some money at it. Let's see what happens." But I also think with that amount of viewership, that makes it easier for you to start building stars.
Yeah.
So, what else you got, Dave?
Very true.
All right. Well, let's hop into UFC Fight Night here. We got coming up in Atlanta, Georgia.
Okay. Kamaru Usman versus Joaquin Buckley.
It's a good fight. Come on, you got to be, when you're taking a look at this, and you can sit there and talk about, all these things, and Kamaru, getting older, and does he still have it and stuff? Well, we're going to find out, because look, Kamaru Usman was a phenomenal champion. He is tough as hell. He still can wrestle. He's got better wrestling than Joaquin Buckley, no matter what anyone wants to say, but Buckley is a guy that we have watched for how many years, and he has systematically improved with every fight. Mm-hmm. He's gotten better. He's learned. He's made mistakes, and he's learned from those mistakes and gotten better. And he is at a point now, you taking a look at Joaquin Buckley as a fighter, man, he is scary, because he is physically strong. He's fast. He's got all kinds of techniques. He does all kinds of his jumping, spinning kick on Kasanganai. It'll go down in history as one of the craziest damn knockouts there ever was. And he has the ability to do that. And you take a look at, what he's on, I want to say a 6-fight win streak right now. It's insane. And you take a look at some of the people. I know Vicente Luque, is one. He beat him with, ground and pound. They put him against Ruzabov, who was, a guy that's got all kinds of different things, and he went the distance with him, but it was Buckley just basically handled him in that fight. Beat Stephen Thompson, a very difficult person to deal with in the stand-up. Beat Colby Covington. He's just been on this roll, and he's just getting better. This is a tough fight. I'm not saying that it's a walkover, but it's going to be a tough fight for Kamaru Usman also.
Yeah. For a long time, I was kind of like, like Kamaru's going to probably lose this fight, lose this. I can't. I went through a phase where, I wasn't having his back, I guess I should say. And then we had him on the show, and he kind of threw it in my face. It's like, hey, yo, you got to be honest though, going against me. And I was like, hey man, I know you've got some pent up aggression against me or something. I don't know. Anyways, It just came down to, you can believe in all the skills that Kamaru Usman has. Yeah. He is getting older, and the speed will be a factor. But the one thing that I think that if he's able to do it is the wrestling. If he gets back to the Kamaru Usman of old, okay, and he's able to just grind and hang and make it one of those type of fights, it could be a long night for Buckley. Because the fight starts happening, John, and the takedowns start coming, it's going to be more difficult for Buckley to get back.
I mean, it was a long time ago, but you can go back to when Buckley was in Bellator and he fought Logan Storley. And Logan Storley was able to take him down and control him on the ground. And you could see the frustration of Buckley in that fight. But that fight was a lifetime ago now in his career. And you can take a look at all the guys that have been trying to take him down now, and it's not working. Yeah, I'm not saying that those guys can wrestle like Kamaru, but I am saying Buckley has his wrestling defense has gotten way better, and physically I think Kamaru is one of the stronger guys that you'll find in the welterweight division, and he's not as strong as Buckley.
Yeah, and Buckley, he's had to deal with guys at 185 as well as 170. I mean, Kamaru's fought at 185 as well. Yeah, but simply put, Buckley was that tweener, the guy that didn't know what to do. He was like, I don't want to,
didn't know where to be.
Didn't know where to be. He's found his stride right now. He's found where he should be. This is his home. It should have been his home to begin with. He just didn't want to it didn't seem like he wanted to put the work in to get to 170 and stay at 170. This is his job now. And you can see like the change in his transformation of his body from when he was in Bellator to then he came to the UFC. He fought at 85. The Saga knockout was at 85. Yep. And then he went down to 70 and then just had a ton of success, realizing like, hey, these guys are big. If I go to 70, I can make a run at this. The guy had nothing but success.
The guys he's lost to, most of his losses in the UFC are all at 185.
Yeah.
You got Nasruddin Imavov. Mm-hmm. That was a decision loss. I remember I think he fought Chris Curtis. That was a loss. But I mean, at welterweight, he's been shining, man.
Yeah. He's fast. He's explosive. He's got big power in his hands. He's willing to do whatever, like you said, with the spinning back heel kick to the face against Kasanganay. Like he's very unpredictable, which may give Kamaru Usman some problems because Kamaru Usman is a very straightforward fighter. He's not doing anything flashy, but he's very technically sound. Yeah. And so, on top of that, his trash talking game is some of the best. Have you seen the stuff he's been doing with Corey Sanhagen?
Yeah.
Holy shit, John. I'm sorry, man, but that is some of the funniest shit I was watching, and there's them going back and forth. It was hilarious. Anyways, I look at Kamaru Usman. He's going to have to avoid the big shots, close that distance, use that long range jab and that straight right to close the distance and get to the hands wrapped around the ass. Lift, scoop, or scoop and lift and pull out and be able to keep that top position. I think he'll have success being able to get the takedown. But can he do it? Can he do it for the 5 rounds?
And can he keep him there?
Yeah. Because Buckley's a shorter, stockier guy, and trying to hold those little balls of muscle down.
All the muscle he just turns. Yeah.
Very difficult.
Yeah.
Co-main event is going to be Rose Namajunas versus Miranda Maverick. How do you see this one going down?
I'm being honest. I look at this fight and I think, I really like Miranda Maverick. I think she's a fighter that's continuing to get better. I just do not know if at this moment she's ready for the sharp striking skills of Rose Namajunas. Rose on the ground. Rose has got a good ground game that matches up well with Maverick's. I don't know that Maverick's stand-up game matches up with Rose's.
No, Maverick's stand-up game does not match. Let me answer that for you. It does not match.
There you go. Okay.
With Rose. On the ground, I put them about equal. I'd actually give Maverick a little bit of the advantage. The reason why I give heavier.
Yeah, I agree.
The thicker legs, the shorter body, just hard to
heavier on top.
Yeah, heavier on top. So Rose has got to make sure she stuffs the takedowns or keeps the lateral movement going, lands the big long rangey striking. She's got a fighter almost very similar to how she fought Wei Li whenever she was able to land the head kick knockout. She's got to circle, stay away, keep long range, keep that head kick going so it keeps the hands loyal to here, makes it more difficult to shoot when head kicks are coming. So I look at Rose and I think to myself, it's time to shit or get off the pot kind of thing. Because you're at
125,
125. Either you make the decision to go back down. If you want to hang out here, then some changes have got to be made. You need to stamp your name on Miranda Maverick so we can make that run. And I'm just a huge fan of Rose, so I want to see her succeed. But I hate to see when you have a talent that is so good and is so marketable, but you can't do anything with her because she can't get a win in that weight class when she should be at 115 instead of going to 125.
Yeah.
So. You got Edmund Shabazian versus Andre Petroski.
Ooh, this is a tough fight. It is a good fight. I think it's a tough fight for Shabazian. Mm-hmm. His stand-up is actually, in my opinion, better than Petroski as far as maybe not, powers will say the same, but it's slicker, much slicker on it. But the wrestling part of what Petroski can do, and when it gets into that grappling section, we've seen that Shabazian has had problems with guys that can truly wrestle. Yeah. And if once he starts to get into that position where he has to work hard to stop that wrestling and he gets a little tired, then it just is a snowball effect. So I look at this, Shabazian looked great in his last fight, but he's going to have to do a lot of work and put a lot of good shots that make Petroski go, ooh, I'm worried about shooting on him.
Mhm.
And he's got to land those, or Petrosky's going to be all over him, taking him down and mauling him.
John, I remember that fight you were talking about. I can't remember who it was against, but I remember him taking an ass whooping him when he got stuck on bottom.
Oh, Brunson.
Yeah, there you go.
Derek Brunson.
But Petrosky is not Derek Brunson.
No, I'm not saying he is, but there's been multiples with Shabazian. You got to figure, I think Shabazian, when Brunson beat him, was undefeated at that point. And you got to look and you can say, well, Gerald Meerschaert is a grappler. He beat him, right? And so then you also have Anthony Hernandez. You want to say he's stand up? Yeah, but he's a good grappler.
He's a good grappler.
Okay, and ground and pound and beat him. So, Imavov, I look and I go, look, he's just good, making those steps. And so I understand what happened there. But everybody that's got, the ability to wrestle, even Jack Hermanson gave him problems. I know he didn't finish him, but he gave him problems and was on top of him for a lot of the fight. So you just take a look.
All those guys you listed, except for Meerschaert, they're all in the top 10. I mean, these are all they're not slobs, but they're not chumps.
No, they're definitely not chumps, dude. But they weren't in the top 10 when they faced him at that time.
Brunson was.
Yeah,
Brunson was. Hermanson
he was right there
too.
I think Hermanson was in the top 15.
Okay. But I look at him, he's matured a lot since then.
Oh, yeah.
He was very young. What was he, 23, 23 back then?
Yeah, he's still
young. What is he, 27 now?
No, I think he's
27.
28. Yeah.
I mean, he's a baby. He's still like he has. I mean, like honestly, when you're in your prime, it's that 27, 28, 29. He's just hitting that now. So I'm looking for him to have a coming out party. I think this will be one of those fights. I think he's going to stuff the takedowns. I think if he does get on bottom, he'll get back up. That's me just having wishful thinking for the young buck. Cody Garbrandt versus Ronnie Barcelos.
I just, man.
I love what you want to say.
I know. I love Cody Garbrandt. I'm just not too sure where he's at now with his career, with his mindset. I mean, you got to figure. I can remember when Cody was 10-0, and he fought for the title, which made him 11-0, and now he's 14-6. Kind of says something. Yeah. About what's happened, in the last bit with his, he's got a couple of wins there, but the Devinson Figueiredo fight is the one, then that was just, I think, his last one. But it's kind of telling me where we're at now with Cody. And I look at Ronnie Barcelos as very similar in style wise to Devinson. Yeah. Meaning that, he's a good wrestler. He's still got, some speed to him. He'll take shots to give shots. And I love the way, Cody throws his hands, but he tends to sometimes take big shots and throw big shots, which puts him out of position, and he ends up eating a shot based upon it. So, I look at this, and this is one of those ones, if Cody fights like I know he can fight and fights smart, he'll win this fight. If he doesn't and he thinks he's going to go out and just knock Barcelos out and he takes big winging shots, he's going to end up on the ground, and he's going to end up having a guy mauling him.
Yeah, I didn't understand why he feels the need to load up so much when he's got such power.
I know. All he's got to do is touch people
faster than everybody.
Yeah,
like he is so fast.
He is, and
it's one thing to have speed, but most of those guys don't have power. And then if you have power, you're not normally like super fast.
True.
This dude's blessed with both.
Yeah,
and so if he can just dial himself in, I mean,
touch him.
Yeah,
just touch him.
Just touch. If you touch him once, the second and the third one will come.
You can go back to when Umar fought Barcelos, and you look at what happened. He was just touching him, giving him some problems, and all of a sudden, boom, there it goes. There's your knockout. Yeah, and that's what Cody can do if he fights smart.
Gotcha. And then you got Mansour Abdul Malik versus Cody Brundage.
Yeah, I feel bad for Cody Brundage. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
This is one of those ones you look and you go, look, Mansour has got, he had some problems in his last fight. He worked his way through them. That's going to happen. That's part of the learning experience of, being a pro. They're not all going to be these, I look fantastic in every moment of it. But you got to look back at that fight and be impressed with the way he was able to collect himself, bring himself together, and then get that win. So I look at this as Cody's going to come out, his wrestling is good. it'll match up with, Mansour for a while, but the hands of Mansour, he can throw and he's got power, and he's going to throw a lot of shots, and I think that's going to be the big difference in this fight.
Paul Craig and Rodolfo Bellato, that fight was pushed out because I believe Bellato got sick or something happened.
Yep.
And then now that fight's been pushed onto this card. But the fight that I'm excited for is the Court McGee versus Michael Chiesa fight. Just because I'm an old dog. Just like John over there, Mr. Old Dog himself. Yeah. So this is one of those, like, there's a lot of nostalgia in it for me. Like, I've known Court McGee, know Michael Chiesa from the Spokane area, the Washington area, all that stuff. Great guy, great person. And I'm looking forward to this fight, man. Can Court McGee stuff the takedowns and stop the grappling and jiu-jitsu? And can he
keep it on the feet? This is the fight. You're looking with Court McGee. Normally, you're looking and saying he's going to try to take the fight to the ground and maul the guy on the ground. Probably not the best thing he can do with Chiesa. Chiesa is slick on the ground. He does some beautiful work down there. But Court McGee has got good wrestling, and it's going to be tough for Chiesa to get him to the ground if Court is in the mindset of, I'm going to sprawl and brawl and I'm going to beat on you. Could be a long night for Chiesa if he's able to do that.
Malcolm Wellmaker, he's a young, talented young kid. Super talented, bright future ahead of him. But then he's got a late replacement in Chris Motino, who we've seen fight before, takes big shots, takes a lot of damage, keeps coming forward. First time we saw him fight, he came in with the green hair. But I think Wellmaker's got a good chance, a good opportunity to have a highlight reel finish if he can get him out of there. Motino's got a great chin. Any other fights on here you want to talk about?
No. I want to say that you got Ricky Simone is still on the card.
Yep.
They went and replaced his opponent who had to fall out with Cameron Smotherman. We had talked about Cameron Smotherman having his fight, his loss that he had, the first loss in the UFC. So he's coming back to try to do well. He's got a tough guy in Ricky Simone. So
that might be a fight too. I believe if you have a Ricky Simone versus Apache mix, we talked about that a little bit too. Similar fight to that. You have the Batista situation, but we also filmed something earlier that's going to drop again, I think probably tomorrow or Thursday morning. Who's next? From all the people that fought on the pay-per-view card this last weekend, we did a full breakdown of who we'd like to see every one of those fighters fight. So you guys can check that out on our YouTube channel as well. So Dave, what else you got for us, buddy?
Any odds you want to hit here on the fight night? You want to do the main event here?
Oh yeah, let's go ahead and do it.
What is that main event?
Usman and Buckley.
Sure.
Oh my God, take a look at that right there. Oh, with Usman and Buckley, Kamaru Usman comes in as a plus 222. He is the underdog in this, and Buckley is a minus 270. He is the favorite in the fight. What
shocks me, though, is the under 4.5 is a minus 130, which means they're favoring him, Buckley, to get him out of there by knockout.
Yep. Yeah, they say, and that's really amazing when you think about it, because you look at Kamaru Usman, who's finished him. You had the knockout loss to Leon. That was in the 5th round, right?
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it, dude.
Damn, no respect.
None.
No respect for the old Bucks, man.
This is what happens when you turn 38. The odds makers go, yeah, you're 38.
They're not giving, they're not giving Miranda Maverick any love either. It's a plus 198, and then Rose is a minus 240. Yeah. And then you got the over at 2.5 is a minus 500, which I can see. I see that. I understand that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's pretty. I actually kind of think that's kind of warranted. The minus 240 is kind of warranted. I expected it to be a little bit, like maybe a minus 200, but Rose got the name, man. Rose got the speed. She got the stand up. She got the.
She's slick in the stand up.
Yeah,
her foot move. The way she moves and she slides in and out. It's beautiful, but she does slow down towards the later rounds.
It's not a 5-round fight.
I know.
Yep, 3 rounds. She can do it for 3 rounds.
Oh yeah.
She can do it for 3 rounds. What else you got for us, Dave?
All right, let's hop into some of this PFL here. We got PFL this week on Thursday.
Okay, let me pull this up. I didn't pull this one up.
Jason Jackson taking on Thad Jean. That's going to be your main event.
Good fight.
It is a good fight, but it's one you look at and you go, I'm not too sure that Thad Jean has enough experience to get it done. He's athletic. He's tough. But it's not like Jason Jackson is in a position where he's fallen off He hasn't. He had the one fight where I don't think he fought well, and he had the loss. But man, I'll tell you what, Jason Jackson is a handful. He looked really good, in his fight with Koreshkov. He finished him, with a rear naked choke that was beautifully done. His fight with I'm going to screw this up. Nurmagomedov, I think, which he lost the Bellator Championship Series to him.
He just got wrestled.
Yeah, he got out wrestled.
Wrestled the defense and out wrestled. Yeah. And Jason Jackson can wrestle.
Yeah, he can.
A lot.
But you got to figure before that, he was on what? Like an 8-fight win streak? Something like that. Maybe 9. I don't know. Somewhere in there. But Jason Jackson is still, and you take a look at the names of the people that, he's got wins against. Ray Cooper. Ray Cooper is, like a Joe Frazier. He can swat. At any moment, he can land a shot that is going to put you out. And he was able to finish Ray Cooper. He was the first person to ever beat Yaroslav Amosov, right? Beat Douglas Lima, beat Paul Daly, beat Naaman Gracie, beat freaking Benson Henderson. He beat all those guys. That's a hell of a fucking lineup.
No, I would agree with you. The one takeaway for me on this fight was, and the one focus I'm going to be very clear is, will he wrestle? Because if he wrestles, I don't think Thad G makes it out of the second round.
I agree.
And that's where Thad's weakness is going to be. Like, he's fun on the feet. He's very dynamic on the feet. He's he's got tricks up his sleeve. But if he can't stop a takedown, which Jason Jackson can wrestle. He can legit wrestle. He just couldn't wrestle at Dagestani style wrestling level at the time.
Yeah.
Okay? That's what cost him the title. But I think he's going to be back on track on this fight. He's got a win already. Look for him to go ahead and get into that next step of the tournament. I think he beats Thad Jane by give him that first O or give him that first one. Take away his O. Right,
he's going to take away his O.
So
I agree.
Next fight.
You got Jesus Pinedo going up against Gabriel Braga. This is a trilogy fight when you think about it. These guys have fought. Each guy has got a win. I know Pinedo doesn't believe that he lost to Braga when he lost the decision to him, but this is a great trilogy fight. Braga definitely believes that he can beat Pinedo. Pinedo is one of those guys, Josh. He's got that evil side to him. I love that about him. He is absolutely a fucking stone cold killer in the cage. He comes forward and just says, try to hurt me. Let's see if you can, because I'm going to hurt you. And he ends up doing it. The guy, he used to fight in the UFC for a while. I think he was too young when he went to the UFC. He has really matured, and man, he is a good fighter right now.
Yeah, we got robbed out of him and Patricio fighting. That would have been a great fight.
Yep.
Because I think Pinedo had to pull
out.
He
had to fall out. Yeah.
He had to fall out. So Gabriel Braga's tough, man. And I'm expecting that to be a gunslinging type fight. You'll see Braga circle on the outside. You'll see Pinedo walk him down, try and put pressure and land the big shot. Braga's going to be the faster fighter. Pinedo's going to be the bigger fighter.
Yep.
And it's going to be a fun fight. I think for the fans, it's going to be a fun fight. You've got Logan Storley versus Masayuki Kikuri. I think he's an alternate. Yeah, because I think they had one of the Russians was supposed to come on, and then he because he made it into this round, ended up having to be substituted out, I believe.
Yeah.
But did you see the face-off between Storley and Kikuri? Like, Kikuri is huge.
Way bigger.
Way bigger.
But that's not a bad thing if you're Logan Storley.
No, just the height. The wrestling and what you're trying to do. Don't have to lower your level too much to get in on the leg. So that should be good. Movlid versus Taiku Kim.
Yeah, this is one of those ones I look at. Kim is good. He just is not on the same level as Movlid. Movlid is, I mean, his last fight, you got to look and say he got pushed in that fight more than any fight he's ever had. It was, but it showed a lot in my opinion, because Jeremy Kennedy had a great first round against him and was putting it on him. And then the second round comes in and he turned it right around because he's that kind of fighter. It's like, okay, you got a good round against me. Let's see if you can do it again. And you know what? Jeremy Kennedy had the reversal. It was 180 degrees of what happened in the first round. And then it all came down in the third round. And Kabalayev was able to, take that win. It was close, but it was, definitely a gutsy performance and showed exactly who Kabalayev is.
Yeah, Jeremy pretty much lost that fight, I think, in the last 20 seconds of the fight.
Yeah, just about.
Yeah, that's how close it was. And speaking of Jeremy Kennedy, he's got a big fight against Adam Borch next. And this is a very winnable fight for Jeremy Kennedy.
It is.
The wrestling. Adam has been known to suffer with the pressure. Anytime you push him.
If there's one thing that you look at as a blueprint towards beating Adam Borch is, go after him. Go towards him. Put pressure on him. Don't let him control where the fight engagement is.
Yeah. And
I think Jeremy Kennedy and his corner are smart enough to see exactly where Adam has problems. It's a good fight. The wrestling definitely goes to Jeremy Kennedy. The stand-up goes to Adam Borch. But that's a great matchup.
Yeah. Any other fights on here you want to chat about?
No, that's good.
That's good. Man. All right, let's get some news in. You got any questions? You got any news for us there, Dave?
Yeah, so I want to hop into this Aspinall.
You just put Zahabi up on the screen. Oh, it's not Zahabi. Sorry.
Yeah, I want to hop into this Jones Aspinall stuff. It's been the ongoing saga lately, and we still don't have answers, especially after UFC 316, where Dana did the post-fight press conference and didn't seem to clear anything up. Just, in fact, acted like the information was new to him, that Jon's been out here saying, oh, they can take the belt, they can do what they want. Anyway, the community is very outspoken right now about it. There was a petition that got over 100 and some thousand signatures for Jon to be stripped. Dana kind of snubbing that is like, we've got 400 million fans worldwide. Yeah, I thought a good point made by MMA Guru was that, well, you've not got that many people watching buying your pay-per-views, so 100 something thousand signatures is quite valid. Anyway, I wanted to give you some thoughts by Ariel, who's a journalist in the sport, Guru, who's a popular commenter in the sport, and then get you guys' take as well on this. So I'll play a few clips for you guys, and then we can or we can actually just do one at a time if you want, and a hot dive into each.
Yeah, let's go one at a time and hot dive.
Okay, and then Jon, by the way, is out there saying it's crazy that we live in a world where influencers can persuade the minds of the boys on the internet. Literally, some random loser with a microphone in his basement. People can just say anything they want these days. I find it fascinating. All right, here's this first one.
And I don't think anyone at this point cares. We just want to see the division move on. We want to see this guy who we think has a very high ceiling and a higher ceiling than he has already shown us. We want to see him progress with his life. We want to see him live out the same type of dream, the same type of career that Jon Jones and other champions have benefited from. But Jon is begging them to make the announcement. And he's trying to convince all of you that he doesn't care about Tom. No, he's walking away so that he doesn't have to fight Tom Aspinall. It's as clear as day. This isn't my opinion. This isn't through reporting. He told it to us. I'll fight Francis. I'll fight Stipe. Mockery. Jon Jones.
All right, you want to start there?
Please.
I mean, look, nothing that Ariel said is true. Jon just doesn't care. Like, I think that's like, look, and I would agree with Ariel that like the UFC should just kind of shit or get off the pot. Like, look, go ahead and let Jon do what he wants to do. Like, Jon doesn't need another title to fight. Like this mythical thing. Like you see Mike Tyson talk about it all the time. See all these things on my pool table? They're just junk. And in 10 years, 15 years, Jon Jones is going to look at his belts and be like, yeah, they're just collecting dust. Mine's in my office, in my other office, and it's just collecting dust. It doesn't mean anything anymore. Like you hit an age now where like none of this matters. It doesn't resonate with anybody. No one cares. And the sport and the way that the world that we live in now, they move on so fast. They literally are swiping right on Tinder as fast as the fucking your legacy is done and over with. So it's done. And like Jon and he said like, oh, well, he brought up the Francis thing because Francis gave him the ammunition, Jon, and he just did that to poke fun at Tom.
Dude, it's pushing a button.
You can call it a mockery, but if anything, guess what? Ariel, it's not poking a fun at Ariel. You're talking about it now. We're talking about it now. People are keeping this live going, whether we're criticizing him or not. Jon knows what he's doing. Jon Jones is one of those guys that he's playing chess while we're all playing checkers. We're just, he has the belts, John. He makes the calls. And Dana has said it. Dana has stroked his ego so much. The greatest to ever do it. The greatest fighter of all time. You got to wait for him then if you've said all those things. You got to wait for the greatest of all time to decide what he wants to do. You can't just strip him.
Yeah. Well, he has stripped him. He stripped him multiple times. And look at where he's sitting right now.
Yeah.
And that does say something about, here's the thing that what I don't like, that, Ariel is giving his opinion, and that's fine. He's absolutely entitled to give his opinion. When he's sitting there saying that, he's giving the opinion that Jon Jones is afraid of fighting Tom Aspinall. I'm just telling you right now, people, you don't have to believe me. Jon Jones has zero fear of fighting Tom Aspinall.
Of anybody.
Okay?
Not just Tom Aspinall, anybody.
Yeah, anybody. It's like Jon is smart enough to know, hey, if I'm going to fight that person, I want to be as prepared as possible. I want to know everything that he does. I want to know exactly his setups and how he does things, because he's a smart fighter. He's not just a fighter. There are those guys that are just fighters. Jon's not that guy. He's a cerebral guy when it comes to the fight game. But he's absolutely not afraid of fighting anybody, be it Francis Ngannou, be it Tom Aspinall, be it fucking King Kong. Okay? He's not afraid of it. It's just he enjoys pushing these buttons and making you do exactly what you were talking about. Come out and talk about him. And be it he likes what you say or he hates what you say, you're talking about him. And that's what he wants you to do.
What you're going to find with those people, when I say those people, the people that are considered to be at the GOAT level, is the Michael Jordan, the Floyd Mayweather, the Jon Jones. They're narcissists.
Wayne Gretzky.
They're not. Well, I haven't seen that with Wayne, but I'm saying they have to have some sort of like narcissist mentality of like, it doesn't matter. I'll do whatever it is I want to do. It's about me. Everything is about me.
Yeah, that's not Wayne Gretzky.
But you know what I mean? Like that's where you're at, I think, in the fight industry, because it's not a team sport. I pretty much named that. Yeah. That's what you see. You see from those type of athletes. It's all about them. It's what they can do. Now, sure, they wanted to win, but they'll do whatever they can to win. Jon is someone that will push every single button of his opponent. He'll drag you out because he's got the financial means to do it, or he's got the name that everyone realizes, you need me. I don't need you. I've done everything I needed to do. Once Jon has settled that in his mind, all these guys now need me. They want to fight me because of who I am and what I've done. I decide, not you. I decide. I saw this thing yesterday, John, that said that there's more pressure on Aaron Pico now to win because the Bellator guys are losing. There's no pressure on Aaron Pico. And that's my point. There's no pressure on Aaron Pico because it's all about Aaron Pico when he gets inside that cage. It's not about the other Bellator guys. It's not about the PFL guys.
They're not his teammate. Yeah, it's like what they did has nothing to do with him.
And that's the thing with Jon. Like, whatever you guys do outside of that has nothing to do with me. I make the choice on when you are able to get inside that cage with me. It's on my timeline. I'm the greatest of all time is what everyone is calling me. Dana White is calling me that. You guys need me. I can fight you whenever I want. And that has settled in on his mind, and he's going to run with it. Yeah. And he's going to poke fun at Tom. He's going to jab at Tom. He's going to jab at the heavyweights. I mean, he's even talked about, he's been throwing out a couple of things of him going to 205 again and fighting Alex, like just to do that. He's at that level, John, right now, where I could see him doing that to piss everybody off. All right, let's hear what the guru has to say. I'm waiting for him to scream into the microphone real quick.
Well, very appropriate that you guys are defending Jon, because MMA guru goes off when people still defending Jon.
Logic should dictate that Tom Aspinall should fight Jon Jones. And you see by these comments, if Francis fights Tom, that would kill Jon's legacy for good, and more likes, and never going to happen. And then there's the group of people that are always going to be defending Jones here, man. No matter what. It's killing the sport, but they'll still defend him, man. And it's Dana wouldn't do it, but for me, I'd rather see Francis Jones rather than Jones versus Tom. Oh, well, in that case, let's book Jones against Ngannou. And, and then we see more comments like this. Don't run, Tom. Don't run, Tom. From Ngannou into the UFC. And it's just like, fucking hell, man. Are we not in agreement yet that there's still going to be this lot defending Jones? And it's just getting annoying to me, okay? Noticing the stark difference in comments. The same old lot are still defending this absolute shit show at the top of heavyweight. And for the life of them, they don't want to see Tom Aspinall versus Jon Jones. Put all of that other stuff aside, you lot.
All right, well, let me touch on this. At the end, he kind of got me, and I said, I just don't want to see Jon Jones fight ever again. That's where I'm at. I have no desire. He hasn't broken 1 million pay-per-view buys. I have no desire to see him fight. Like the Tom Aspinall fight, sure, of course I'm going to watch it because we do the podcast, but I'm not super excited about it. If you want me to say, hey, any heavyweight for him to fight that I think will give him the best matchup, it's that one. But I really have no desire to watch him fight. The only other fight, honestly, I don't even have a desire to watch him fight, John. There's no interest for me with Jon Jones. None.
I don't blame you.
Not for Tom's Tom's benefit though. Like you don't want to see it for the benefit of Tom.
No, I want to see Tom move on. I want to see Tom. I don't want to see Tom end up in like Michael Chandler.
Exactly.
You're wasting your time in your prime and you could be building your legacy now. If he didn't wait and he had 2 fights and 2 wins by now, then it'd be like, hey, John, you're fighting or you're not. Like, it doesn't matter whether you defend the interim title. If the guy who has the undisputed title is not fighting me, I'm clearly the undisputed champion. I've defended this interim title 2 or 3 times. It's obviously me that I am the undisputed champion when the guy who is supposed to be that is not signing the contract. It's been presented to him. It's been offered to him. The contract has been sent to him. He hasn't signed it. I am the champion. Everyone sees it. Everyone knows it. Let the fans decide. Like John, I have no desire to watch John fight ever again. He's done a great job in his career. Loved him when he was younger. Obviously, all the drama later on kind of took me away from all that, but he had a great career. Let's move on. I'm done. I want to see Tom have his legacy. I want to see 205 move on. I have no desire to watch Jon Jones ever fight again. None.
Okay. I just look at it and I go, I understand what you're saying, but you look and you say, would I like to see the Tom Aspinall? I would love to see that fight because I think that
you're a nerd.
Yeah, well, I'm a fight nerd.
You're a fight nerd.
I am, but I would love to see that fight. But if it doesn't happen, like you're saying, it's not going to be the end of the world to me. That's fine. And if I'm going to sit there and say, would I rather watch Jon Jones fight again? Or would I rather watch Tom Aspinall fight again? I'd rather watch Tom Aspinall. He's got the bigger upside now. John is not, on the upside. He's in kind of staying. I'm not saying he's falling off a lot, but. Heavyweight was a good move for him as far as speed wise and everything, but still, I just look and I go, I feel the same way. John's not that guy that Jon Jones fight. I got to watch it. Nah, I really don't care.
No, what it is, John, you said, you brought up a good point. He has the bigger upside now. Tom Aspinall does because everyone wants to see what you're going to do next. Yeah. That's what's great in the combat sports world is I want to see what else can this guy do. Joaquin Buckley, after the spinning back fist or back kick to the face of Saga, I was like,
jumping, spinning back kick.
What else can this dude do? Yeah. I want to see what else he can do. And he's delivered ever since.
Yep.
That's what makes this sport so great. We've seen everything that John can do. And he's actually now just started going down. The excitement of his fights is going down. He's fighting more conservative. The fans are just like, okay, this is not a great fight. There's no more spinning back elbows. There's no more flying knees, no more push kicks and oblique kicks that are hurting people. All that stuff is gone. It's now take down, hold you down, elbow you, and submit you. And everyone complains about wrestlers and grapplers, but Jon is now that guy in the heavyweight division. So
that's because there's not a lot of good wrestling in the heavyweight division.
There never has been, except for Kane and
No,
DC.
there has been. Yeah, okay.
I mean, Brock and Randy was there for you a handful.
I was gonna say, yeah, you had some good wrestlers, but it's okay.
Yeah, a handful. Yeah. There's been like 500 heavyweight fighters. There's been like 10 of them we can count. They were good wrestlers. What else you got, Dave?
All right. This one I find interesting because it's kind of as if they're kind of alluding to like this idea that Dana White knows. It's kind of playing the game, and there's more to it. Either like this fight is actually happening, there's some kind of game going on behind the scenes here. But I wanted to get you guys' reaction to Dana's comments plus Guru commenting on it. Here's this one.
Not that interested in that. But if he doesn't fight Tom Aspinall and he does walk away, do you think he's ducked him? Would you?
Tom Aspinall's the guy. He's the guy.
Doesn't answer the question, but all good. It's good to know that Aspinall's the guy up next for Jon.
I don't know. Yeah, well, that's the other play. Listen, if the guy wants to retire and doesn't want to fight, nothing you do. I didn't want Habib to retire. I thought DC should have stayed in it longer. So
this is a change from Dana White, by the way. This is him degrading. He's giving up territory here to the media and to the fans. Listen, if he doesn't want to fight, when Dana White starts saying he didn't want to fight, listen, if he doesn't want to fight, this is when you start hearing this kind of language out of Dana White where he's losing his patience with the fighter, basically. Once you start hearing that a guy don't want to fight, and by the way, Jon Jones doesn't want to fight, but once Dana starts saying it, instead of just defending them non-stop over and over and over again, that's when you know Dana's losing his patience with Jon Jones right now, basically. Gallivanting around the world, getting up to who knows what, while he's here having to face the music with the media after he's tried to avoid it for a few months.
I mean, I'm not getting much out of that. I mean, like, look, soon Dana will be saying that Jon Jones didn't want to fight him. Like, he wanted to go to the PFL.
You can't make somebody fight.
No.
Okay. That's it.
Yeah.
You know, if he doesn't want to fight, okay, no problem. Drop the belt. It's time to move on. But it's one of those. He's right. You can't make people fight. You know, if someone doesn't want to fight, then you say, okay, see you later. You're a fight organization.
I go back to though, like, Jon doesn't need another belt. Jon could vacate the title and still tell the UFC, like, hey, you know what? I kind of feel like I want to fight again. I don't have to fight for the title. Sure, I can fight for another one if you want. Whatever. Like, he can just. They would oblige him right now, especially with the state of where MMA is right now. They need whatever they can get.
Look at the whole Amanda Nunes thing. Look at are they not in the same position?
Well, Jon, I honestly feel the Amanda Nunes thing came back because Dana called and said, hey, we would like to have you against if Kayla wins or whoever wins, right? On our new contract for our new TV deal, we'll have you do that. You'll be that fight. So you'll probably be she may be a Netflix like breaker. Like we were just talking with Shawne Merriman. Like the biggest fights will be on there, right? When we talk about that fight, the Tom Aspinall, Jon Jones fight on Netflix. Kayla Harrison versus Amanda Nunes on Netflix. The biggest fights you can make. Those are the biggest fights.
Yeah.
You know, what
but it's the same thing. Jon could walk away right now and in a year or year and a half time go, yeah, I want to fight.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, last one here to wrap this thing up. I want to see if you guys agree with Ariel Helwani here and giving the UFC a deadline, and you guys can help get steam in this train.
Imposing an International Fight Week deadline. Right here and now, I'm imposing this deadline. And by the way, they announced that they're going to do a press conference tour for Canelo Crawford, and one of the stops is June 27th, the day before Ilya versus Charles, International Fight Week, 317. I'm imposing an International Fight Week deadline. An announcement must be made. A decision must be made. That's when the eyes of the MMA world are on the UFC. It's their Super Bowl. Announce Tom Aspinall versus Jon Jones. Announce Tom Aspinall versus Francis Ngannou, which would be the ultimate swerve, not going to happen, but would it be something? Or just announce Tom versus Cyril Gane. One of those. International Fight Week, it must be done. That's the deadline. I'm imposing that.
That's great. I love it.
I just want to. I am so important that I am imposing this deadline on the UFC. Nice, great, I love it.
John, don't do that to Ariel Helwani.
Love all the confidence in it.
John,
you ain't imposing shit.
John. Ariel Helwani is a good dude, man. Don't do that. Don't do that to Ariel Helwani. Don't do that.
So when you tell the UFC that you're going to impose a deadline on them, exactly what does that mean to them?
I mean, you have no favor with anybody, so it doesn't mean anything.
Nothing.
I get it. I understand. Look, there's a lot of frustration, I think, across that they would like the heavyweight division to move on. But I'm going to continue to go back to, I have no desire to watch Jon Jones fight, whether it's Tom Aspinall. Sure, would I like to watch the fight? Yes, I would like to see the fight, but I want to see the fight. But it's lost a lot of luster for me, and I'm going to tune in to watch it because we do the pod and we have to talk about it. So I'm going to watch it regardless. If he was to leave and go fight Francis Ngannou, I really wouldn't care to see that fight either. But sure, I would watch it because we do the pod. Yeah. Those are, John. If any moment we decide to stop doing the pod, I'm not watching another fucking fight again. I'm so over it. This type of drama and stuff. I'm like, bro, how many times have you and I just called each other and been like, can we just not watch the fights tonight? And we could just totally make up that we watched it and just be like, there's moments you're like, man, you just don't want to have to do it. John's making it easier for me to feel this way. And but Tom, I want to see Tom succeed. I have been a huge fan of Tom Aspinall since he come into the UFC. I was a nerd on him when he first came in, and I want him to have a great career, but he's holding himself up right now. Go get some wins, man. Yeah. Defend that undisputed title, or defend that interim title, and the fans will be the judge. The fans will be the judge of watching you win. Winning solves everything. Keep winning. John either want to fight you or he'll just vacate and be like, yeah, you know what? That dude's fucking better than I thought. I think what it is, to be honest, we have all talked about this. Jon Jones watches a ton of tape. There's not enough tape on Tom Aspinall. He's probably thinking to himself, I just need a couple more fights. You go fight someone else, maybe I can get a little something here, something there to how to beat you.
I need you getting into the third round.
Yeah, I need to see more if I drag you, because it's a 5-round fight. Yep. Will you still have the same cardio in rounds 4 and 5 and 3? So yeah, I don't know. I have no desire to see the fight. I think it's kind of cute that Ariel did that. I mean, it's good. It puts Ariel in that position of like, hey, you know what? I'm imposing this right now, and I'm saying it now. I'm making it be said,
and that means absolutely.
But still, I get it. I understand. Everyone is frustrated. Everybody is frustrated. I'm sure the UFC is probably a little bit frustrated. Obviously, Tom's been frustrated. He's very, very vocal about it. Media is frustrated. Pods are frustrated. Whatever it is. But if it happens, it happens. Tom, go get some wins. Defend that undisputed or that
book a fight.
Title. Yeah, go book a fight. Don't be the next Michael Chandler. Yeah. Don't be that. All right, Dave. Is that everything, buddy?
Let's look at I want to get these while we're reacting to comments from people. I want to get your reaction to these comments from DC regarding Shawne O'Malley. I'm sure you guys talked ad nauseum about this on Saturday night or for the weekend show, but just reaction here real quick. DC says until there's a changeover, it will be hard for Shawne O'Malley to work his way back into the title opportunity, and he might find himself standing across from Umar Nurmagomedov. First part, hard time getting back in the title picture. Second part, if he ends up in front of Umar, is that kind of like the same play out as what we just saw this weekend, or is that a little bit of an easier fight for Shawne in your eyes? What do you guys think?
Well, you're in a position, if you're Shawne O'Malley, where you've lost twice to this guy. You lost as the champion. He took your title, and then in the rematch, he submitted you. So as the UFC is looking at it, do I put on a trilogy fight? That's a hard fight to sell because everyone goes, well, I know who's going to win.
No, that's a hard fucking no.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. And so right now, what DC is saying, and he's right, is it's a hard road for Sean O'Malley because he ain't getting a title shot. If Merab is the champion, that title shot is not coming, right? UFC's not going to want to put it on. They love Sean O'Malley. I'm not saying they don't, but they're going to look and go, that's not a fight that we can sell.
The Umar and Sean fight, I don't think it's going to happen.
I don't think that's going to fight.
Yeah,
that fight's going to happen either.
We talked about this on our Who's Next, What's Next breakdown that we just did. That'll probably launch tomorrow. It just comes down to if you have Umar, if Sean loses to Umar, that puts Umar as the number one contender,
and it puts Sean in a real problem.
Yeah, because then if he beats Merab, then I can't have him fight him either because now he's lost to both those guys. So I don't want to do that. I want to have him fight Peter Yan. That makes the most logical sense. The storyline writes itself, as we talked about on the Who's Next, What's Next show. It just makes sense. A lot of people thought Sean lost that fight against Peter Yan. Peter Yan, I think he has even less of a case to fight Merab or to beat Merab. He got dominated in that fight, against Merab with Peter Yan when they fought. Yeah. So it's a very similar situation that Sean's in. So why not have those two guys fight? Umar's got to get a win somewhere in there, and then he'll probably get a title shot and see what happens. Sean's on the back burner right now, waiting for that. You're gonna have to see. Let me see, John. Let me pull this up real quick. Yeah, Corey Sandhagen, who's next. O'Malley and Peter Yan, who were 1 and 2. I believe it's been revised. I believe
Peter Umar's 2 and Peter Yan's
Umar's
3.
So that lets you know right there that they're probably gonna go. Umar is gonna fight. He may just come right back and get I got to be honest. He may come right back and get a title shot. He may.
Not off a loss.
I would agree with you. But I think if they have Sean O'Malley fight Peter Yan, then you have Corey Sandhagen, who's already going to fight there. Then you maybe Song Yadong and Umar.
Yep.
Ooh, tough fight.
Tough fight for both.
No, absolutely. Tough fight, but a great fight. Really good fight. A good fight for us fans.
Oh, yeah.
But you have that. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of how it breaks out, I think. But I think Sean versus Peter is the one that writes itself. The history there, the people thought that Sean lost the fight.
Easy for them to market.
Yep.
They've got all the footage of what happened in the first fight.
Exactly.
It's
there. What else, Dave?
We'll wrap there.
Oh, wow.
All right, guys. Hey, we're going to wrap there. I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in. And we had some problems with the live stream, so with the YouTube channel, so we decided to cut it, film it, edit it. Well, Dave's going to edit it or whatever. And then we're going to get this show out for you guys.
Dave's going to do his magic.
And we want to thank you guys for being understanding. And we appreciate you guys. Continue to support us. And go to WayneMerch.com, pick up some of our apparel. And John, take us away, bud.
Just want to say thank you for everyone that tuned in. Thank you to Shawne Merriman for being on our show, being a guy that gave a lot of good information on what it's like to be a regional promoter. And good luck to his fight promotion. To everyone out there, thank you for tuning in, and we will see you.